The biggest thing is when a client asks me something instead of telling me something. So when a client says, this is what we want to do, how can you do it? Or what is your idea? Or when they involve me in the input, as opposed to when a client says, here's what you're going to do.
Welcome to the WazaMedia podcast. WazaMedia is a digital marketing agency that believes in the power of storytelling. We allow businesses and we show businesses and individuals how to communicate with laser focus in a media saturated world. On this episode, I'm super excited to be talking with Jeremy Earl Mayhew, who runs Earl Studios in Temple, New Hampshire. Earl Studios is a studio of one, providing photography and cinematography services. Quick pause. I want to talk to you about Morning Brew. If you're struggling to keep up with the news cycle and everything that's going on in the world, in business, and in marketing, you need to sign up for Morning Brew's email newsletter. It summarizes the latest headlines in an easy, digestible format for our busy lives. The best part about signing up for Morning Brew is that it's free. Make sure you use the referral link in the description to get signed up. Morning Brew is the best way to stay informed and is also great with your cup of joe or espresso for me. Now back to the episode. Jeremy, thank you for being on our show today.
My pleasure to be here.
After years of stalking you on Instagram, we finally get to have a conversation.
Finally.
I think it was when I was stationed in Korea. I think it was around 2013, 2014. I started following you on Instagram. And I was really interested in the photos that you did on the slopes.
Yes, we had a shared favoritism of the strange slip sign illustrations of the men falling. We used to share those before.
I remember those for our listening audience. These interesting signs, these warning signs of these stick figures falling from from objects, or warning signs, was kind of the way we did back and forth through Instagram. So that's crazy, and how that came and how we continue that over the years.
Exactly.
And because I haven't been out much because of the current situation in the world, I haven't been able to find any for you, Jeremy. So I'm sorry, I haven't been updating that.
I keep an eye out for them all the time for you,
though. So Jeremy, thank you again for being on the show. Let's start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about your story for our audience who don't know you?
Sure. So I have always been a photographer and a cinematographer. I started with film and 8mm cameras. My grandfather did it. He got me into it. And I always wanted to do it professionally, but growing up on kind of a limited budget family, we could never afford that because in the old days, it was very expensive. And it wasn't until DSLRs came about that I could actually afford to have something that could give me the quality of the cinema cameras that I saw growing up, but do it professionally. So about 2002, I actually transitioned from doing websites and photography to doing just photography and videography. So it's been a long time, and just the progression of gear keeps making it possible for me to learn new things and grow. And so I want to say 15 years ago, I just kind of mainly focused on videography using the DSLRs as my main cameras. And it's been amazing. I focus mostly on small businesses. I don't do a lot of big brands because where I live and who I deal with, that's where my passion is.
And some of my favorite things to look at on your Instagram feed is the work that you've done with the restaurants in your local area. And I just want to eat my phone whenever I see your stuff because it's that good. So we'll make sure the plug in your Instagram handle at the end. For today's topic, Jeremy, I want to talk to you about the importance of visuals for businesses to tell their story or for marketing purposes. There's an article out by, I think it's Eater SF. It's a famous food blog site that's talking, and the headline reads, "Why Restaurants are realizing that they're too late to the Instagram game." And so what the article talks about is being able to leverage Instagram as a visual platform to really sell or to notify their customers that, hey, we are still in business during this crazy time in world. And by the way, this is what our stuff looks like. And so you've been working with businesses and small businesses in your area for years. I want to kind of go over a little bit about how you work with small businesses, because I understand you do both imagery and you do cinematography.
Yeah.
How do you work with clients to figure out what's a better product? Is it either or maybe even a combination of both?
Well, it's always a combination of both, depending on what the mission is for the content. If you want to do something that is more long form, that has a longer life, a lot of times clients will gravitate towards a video for that. But if it's something that has to get a message out quickly, and you want to have multiple uses for like one setup. So if we had one meal and we wanted to take 12 photos of that, that gives us one setup, but much more consumable content. So that really comes down to the question is what is the purpose of this and how much life do you want this content to have?
So when you're working with small businesses, do you help not only create the content that they may need, but do you initially come up with a marketing strategy per se? And when you mentioned some of the products are consumable or bite-sized consumables, and some of them are long form. Do you help guide clients in that way, or does a small business usually have someone that has that marketing plan ready to go?
Well, when it started, a lot of the companies would have a marketing company that they would go through. As the current situation has progressed, a lot of companies have brought that in-house using people that they have, and some of them are serving dual purposes. So you may have someone that's doing PR and marketing, but also, making menus. So I act as kind of like a consultant in that way, as well as, this is the new thing we're doing. I think this is how we should go about showcasing it, and this is the content that we should get for that. So they will normally kind of come up with it in-house, and I'm more of a guide for them through the implementation process.
I like the word that you use, guide, because sometimes dealing with clients, they have an idea of what they want, but they don't know actually what they need. And so I think guide is the right term to help bring their ideas into life. And then you provide it through images and cinematography. So that's awesome.
There are sometimes I have to drop the hammer. So if, say, a client says, we really need a photo of this dish. Can you come in at 9 o'clock at night and shoot it? And my response is, I can't do that, because the photo that you want to get cannot happen in a dark restaurant. So I can come in at 10 and shoot it when there's nobody here and give you a beautiful image. But at this point, I'm old enough in the game where I can tell people, you do not want to do this, and just drop the hammer. But if it's something that's more of a suggestion, like where should the fork go, I'll guide them in that. But you have to have the strength to tell some clients, you cannot do this. This is bad for your image and bad for your brand.
That's awesome that you have that clout and that reputation to help, especially in your local area. What is your most memorable let me see if I can rephrase this. Is there a campaign or an image or a video that you're really proud of that you helped the client with when it comes to storytelling and also to help market their business?
Well, a lot of the stuff I'm working on now, I'm more proud of, because I've been able to get clients to understand time is the most valuable asset in what they do. So it's not so much any other thing, but the time you're allowed to put into the creation of the content that will make the biggest impact. So I'm doing some stuff for a client now that's moving into a new location. That's amazing, because instead of just grabbing stuff as it happens, I'm getting them to bring me over, and we're going to get models, and we're going to shoot this specifically for the campaign. Same with one of the restaurants I'm working with. I got them to bring me in when the restaurant was closed, give me a bartender, and I could shoot for an hour to make a 30-second drink video. And they saw it and they were blown away. And they literally said to me, this is who we are now. This is how we do things.
Now, we talked a bit about some of the things that you do for businesses related to food. Is some of the stuff that you've discussed also in the area of fitness, which I know that you also predominantly shoot as well?
Yes. So everything is basically the same. People are just pretty hamburgers. We kind of shoot them all the same with the same angles and the same light. But again, it's all about time. If I can get you to give me an hour to make something, it will be amazing. But if you just want me to grab a shot of something, it's not going to be as good. So my whole motto is I want to go from taking shots to making shots.
And when it comes to time, I know the other thing that clients are looking for is price. And so we all got these little things now. And I'm sure you've heard this argument before, is that we've all got these things now. Can I just do it with my own cell phone? But you provide something more than just the gear. And that's what a lot of creatives and dealing with clients, they don't see the creative side that we provide, not only just the gear, but we have the creative mindset in order to help bring an idea to life.
Yeah. So when the cell phone rage kind of happened, I saw things drop off and everyone was like, well, I can just take the picture with my phone. And that was great when it was new, but these people don't have an understanding of lighting and composition and all these different things. And so as you see that, everyone is doing that. But then when you see someone who is creative, who has the understanding of the art, no, not so much the equipment, because a good creative can take a better photo with your phone than you can. So as that happened, you would see these beautiful images start to pop up into people's feed that was taken by someone who knew what they were doing, and it stood out. And people started to realize, I need to have better content created by people that know what they're doing, because I want my chef to cook, I want my hostess to host, I want someone who's a creative to do the creative part, because then we're focused on our job and you're focused on yours.
I was just thinking about this story that somebody put on as a photo on social media about going to someone's dinner, going to a dinner party, and then there's a meal, and then as guests are leaving, the guest tells the host, "Oh, thank you for the meal. You must have a really, really awesome frying pan."
Exactly.
And it's not about the frying pan. It's really about the mind and the creativity into building the meal. And for us in the creative field, it's the tools are just tools. What really brings it to life is our inspiration and the experience we have.
Right, because what I bring is not so much my gear, it's the time that I've spent doing this and my ability to understand a shot and get that shot quickly for you. So you get someone that doesn't know what they're doing and they're fumbling around for 20, 30 minutes to try to get a half a decent shot. I can come in there in a couple of minutes and get something that's amazing because I've been doing it for so long.
Let's talk about the tactical part about shooting the images. When you're taking the photos, are you thinking about the platforms your clients are using? For instance, if your client is using Instagram versus Facebook versus what's the new rage, TikTok. If any of them are putting them on TikTok, are you shooting for the actual platform, or are you shooting it in a generic sense that can be used for multiple platforms?
I shoot everything as if it's going to be a billboard. I put the same effort and the same beauty and the same composition to it as if it's going to be the showcase piece of a magazine article. And then I will shoot it multiple ways to give them several options. So one dish can be shot 20 different ways for 5 different platforms, but everything has the same quality, irregardless of where it's going, always.
Awesome. And that's also the same for I'm really enjoying the cinematography fitness videos that you've been putting up on your IG. Um, the slow-mo, the speed ramping, and then just the creative angles. Those are really, really awesome.
Yeah, my thing is always, there's always one shot that's slow motion backwards. That's my thing. I don't know why I started doing that during ski films, and I always do that now.
You got to name it as the signature shot.
Exactly.
When you're creating these images, these beautiful images, and these cinematic videos for your clients, and even some of the items for your own self, where are you taking the inspiration from? I know you've got years of experience of doing this, but is there inspiration that you take after in order to build these beautiful images?
I sometimes I will, like, I'm a very kind of vintage person, so I take a lot of stuff from old John Ford movies, from 70s movies, a lot of old stuff. But through the years, I've learned that I just see things a certain way, and then I feel that that's right when I'm shooting. So I don't normally go into a shoot with a very strict idea of what I want to do. I just see a shot and I feel the shot and then I know that it's going to work, and it usually does.
Are you been hitting the slopes lately?
I have. So this year, Vail bought out my mountain, so I didn't come back, and it was the best thing that could happen to me because I've actually had time to ski, and it's been incredibly recharging for my creativity. Because now when I go to the mountain, it's not like a job; it's just an opportunity for me to refresh my brain.
I haven't been out in the slopes. I think the last time I went was the Swiss Alps in
Damn.
2018.
Well,
Yeah, when I
that's a
was
good
living in Germany. I just haven't had time coming when I came back to America in 2018. I just haven't had a chance to go hit the slopes. I have been around in the where I am in the Washington D.C. area. I think the last time I went to a slope in this area was, I think, Whitetail in Pennsylvania, or Massahuetton in the western part of Virginia, just west of here. But
Yeah.
the slopes out in Europe are great. But I actually transitioned from being a snowboarder to a skier because learning the slopes out in Europe, they're all meant more for skiers
Yes.
because that's
Oh,
all they've been doing for years.
yeah. They don't know anything about snowboarding.
No, it took me, I think, 2 or 3 lessons of doing skiing, and then I started going. I think the most I did in one season, I think I went like 8 or 9 times. It was a day trip where took the bus at like 8 o'clock at night, and we slept on the bus for like 6-7 hours, and then we woke up either in different locations. So east in Austria, in eastern Germany. My favorite, I think, was in the. It was super expensive though. Was going to the Swiss Alps.
Oh,
The
geez.
crazy part was, no, take it back. No, went to the Matterhorn in Switzerland. So there's this crazy spot where you go to the Matterhorn, where it touches the Italian border.
Yeah.
So you pack a bunch of euros in your pocket when you get your Swiss francs and your Swiss money. It's super expensive, but you go up the slopes and you go up, you ski around on the Swiss side, and then for lunch, what I did was I went and got up the slope that crossed over to Italy, ate cheaper on the Italian side, and then went back into Switzerland.
Nice.
So that was the crazy part. But I think that was my favorite place to go skiing. But I haven't gone anywhere in your neighborhood. So I think that's one of the things I need to do.
Yeah, that
Uh,
would be kind of a downgrade from the Swiss Alps a little bit.
but I haven't gone in so long. And last week we had snow here in the DC area, and in about a day or two, it was just all gone. So
Yeah,
we're supposed to have a snowstorm sometime this week in the time of this recording, but I don't think it's going to stick around.
it's coming down now for us. We're like 3-4 inches in today.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm I'm just not used to having to salt everything and shovel everything. I grew up in California, in the Central Valley, where farm town. The coldest I think it ever got that I remember was like in the 30s.
Oh, wow. I'm a little
But it
jealous.
but it got as hot as 120. And I do remember in the 90s when El Nino came in, this crazy humid tropical storm came in through California. Please comment if you know what I'm talking about, California people. But 120 weather with humidity, because it's normally dry out in California, so that place is just out there. So Jeremy, this has been awesome. One of the things I want to add as my final 2 questions I have for you is one, what's the number one thing that you're looking the most to when you're working with a client that you know that you'll click? Because there's the creativity side, and then you mentioned there's the point of guiding, but what's kind of the magic connection or formula that you know that when a client comes to you that you're able to say, we're going to make this work?
The biggest thing is when a client asks me something instead of telling me something. So when a client says, "This is what we want to do, how can you do it?" or "What is your idea?" or when they involve me in the input, as opposed to when a client says, "Here's what you're going to do." Because then they're not taking into account my creativity and they're not investing me in their company. So that's just not where I want to go at this stage in my company. I want to invest in other companies and I want to be a part of their growth because they matter to me. It's a two-way street, and your success is my success.
I like that. Jeremy, how can our followers find you? Not in person, but on social.
If you go to Google Maps, no. So I'm everywhere as Earl Studio. So Instagram, I'm Instagram Earl Studios. Twitter, I'm Earl Studios. And if you go to earlstudios.com, you can see my website, which is currently being redesigned by myself. So there are a couple of pages that are a little wonky, but when you're a small business, you have to do it all.
The hats on the head are very many.
So many.
Well, thanks, Jeremy. I am looking forward to seeing and stalking more of your photos on Instagram, and looking forward to eating my phone and licking it.
This was awesome. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thanks for watching our video. If you want to learn more about WazaMedia, go to our main channel over here. And if you want to see more podcast episodes, go over here. See you next time.